All right, we need to talk about Jardiance for weight loss. Now, many of you, if you're just struggling with your weight, may likely have never heard of Jardiance. But if you have diabetes, then you might be somewhat familiar with it. Regardless, a lot of people have been reaching out asking me if it could help with weight loss, and I've even had patients coming to my clinic and saying, I want to be prescribed one of these medications because my friend so-and-so lost something like 30 pounds on it. So I thought it was time we make a video. So first and foremost, what exactly is Jardiance? Jardiance or empagliflozin belongs to a class of medications called the sodium glucose cotransporter 2 inhibitors. And thankfully, that becomes SGLT2 inhibitors for short. And other medications that you may have heard of in this class are Invokana as well as Forxiga. And so what we use the SGLT2 medications for currently is managing type 2 diabetes. That's what they originally came to the market for. And the way that they work is they actually block the SGLT2 transporter that is found within our kidneys. So to kind of back things up a little bit here, let's first talk about how our body tightly regulates our blood sugar levels and how it does part of this through our kidneys. So what occurs is that as your blood goes to your kidney, it flows through the kidney and ultimately your blood gets filtered. And in the process of this filtering, what your kidneys are doing is they're removing a bunch of waste products, excess fluid, salt, electrolytes, and they're also filtering out sugar. Now, most of what gets filtered here ultimately goes on to become urine, which eventually you pee out. However, most of the sugar that gets filtered, especially in type 2 diabetes, actually gets reabsorbed back into the body by that SGLT2 transporter. And so, SGLT2 inhibitors like Jardiance block that SGLT2 transporter, and therefore the sugar no longer gets reabsorbed back into the body and instead continues on its journey out to become urine and eventually you to pee it out. And thus, if there's less sugar that's being reabsorbed, that is going to bring the total sugar level in your blood. It's going to bring it down, and thus your diabetes is going to be better controlled. And in fact, these medications are actually quite fantastic at what they do. I mean, not only can they lower your A1C by about 0.5 to 1%, they can also lower your blood pressure, they help with protecting your heart, they can help you to manage heart failure, and they can also help us in managing chronic kidney disease. So, you're probably wondering, well, how exactly do they help with weight loss then? Well, if you didn't already know, sugar is energy or calories that your body ultimately needs to run and allow you to do your day-to-day functions. And so if you're peeing out a bunch of sugar, you are then peeing out a bunch of calories that your body is not getting to utilize for energy or storing as fat. And again, in case you forgot, calories that are going in, so calories that are going in from the food that you're eating, must be less than the calories that are going out for you to lose weight. And thus, if we're peeing out a bunch of sugar, we're essentially increasing the amount of calories that are going out based on this equation, and therefore we are potentially creating that calorie deficit. As well as kind of like a shorter term aspect of things that can happen is that if you're peeing out a bunch of sugar, you're also going to be peeing out a bunch of water and fluid to hold on to and keep that sugar diluted, and thus we can also see a decrease in weight by simply losing fluid that's going out with your urine. And hey, if you're getting benefit from my content and you're really enjoying it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. As well, turn on those notifications so you never miss out when I put out another video. As well, don't forget to check out the OG members membership side of my YouTube channel where you get a monthly live with myself where you can bring all of your questions, concerns, and well, you name it, and we can have a conversation in real time where I can answer those questions and give you all kinds of good feedback. Again, everything you need is down below, so be sure to check it out. All right, cool. So does that mean Jardiance is only for diabetes, or can we use it in people that don't have diabetes? And the short answer is no, we definitely use these medications in individuals that don't have diabetes, in particular if people have, say, heart failure or chronic kidney disease, and they don't have diabetes of any kind, we will often use these medications as part of their treatment. And the reason we can do this is because the SGLT2 medications, their mechanism by which they manage our blood sugars is only active when our blood sugar levels are elevated. So when your blood sugars are in the normal range, you're not going to get that sugar dumping aspect of things, and thus you're not going to have your blood sugar go too low. And so we can definitely use it safely and effectively in individuals that don't have diabetes. All right, so now I'm sure you're all kind of asking, well, how do I get this medication then? Well, I hate to burst your bubble because these medications really aren't all that effective at weight loss. On average, people that take these medications only lose about 2 to 3% of their baseline weight. In comparison to the Surmount 1 trial with Zepbound, people in that trial were losing upwards of 21% of their baseline weight. So 2 to 3% versus 21%, pretty substantial difference. As well, in that 2 to 3% range of things, we're really not getting a whole pile of benefits on the weight loss side of it, and a lot of that weight is also going to be on the fluid side. So we're not necessarily getting rid of that excess adipose tissue that can cause harm to our health. Now, the reason why these medications really aren't that effective for weight loss is based on their mechanism of action. You see, the only thing that they're doing is getting you to pee out more energy or more calories. And if you haven't clued in yet, your body is pretty darn smart. And it really doesn't want you to lose weight or to be running on less sugar or energy. And therefore, with these medications, when your body starts to detect that there's a decrease in energy or that you're losing weight, it's going to start ramping up all of the signals and things that it needs to do to get you to eat more food and to compensate for that lost energy and that weight that was lost, to try and get you at the very least to maintain the weight that you're currently at and maybe even gain back the weight that you lost. So you're going to see things like an increase in hunger, appetite, food-seeking behaviors as your body counteracts all of the effects that the SGLT2 medication might have in terms of your weight. And in comparison, when we look at drugs like Zepbound and Wegovy, well, these guys are actually acting where it matters for managing our weight. They are acting in that reward appetite center of our brain where those signals to get you to eat come from, and they are dampening down those signals so that ultimately you can better manage your weight, you can consistently get into a calorie deficit, and you can also maintain that weight loss for a longer period of time. And as an FYI, if you're looking for more information on the GLP-1 medications, go down to the links in the description as well as in the first comment there, and you can enter your email and download my one-page PDF on the GLP-1 medications that you can take to either your next cocktail party and show all of your wonderful friends, or you can take it to your family doctor and you can have it as a discussion point as to what option might be best for you on your weight management journey. So in my practice, I don't prescribe the SGLT2 medications for the purposes of weight loss, just because they really aren't that effective. I will prescribe those medications if it is clinically indicated for helping to manage things like blood sugar, if an individual has heart failure, or if they're dealing with some problems with their kidneys. And if one of my patients gets prescribed this medication and they end up losing weight, well, that's just the cherry on top. Now, I'm sure some of you are now asking the question of, well, what about all these people that are running around and losing all this weight with the SGLT2 medications? What's so different about them? And so in these situations, it's really a case of the funny things that humans do. We often look at individuals who've lost a bunch of weight and only see the one change that they made. Maybe they went on a specific diet, maybe they started this medication. But we don't see all of the little other micro changes that they've made to their lifestyle that are actually driving that weight loss. And it's going to be all the tweaks and changes they've made, such as eating less food, exercising more, getting better sleep, being more mindful, etc., 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 because all that crap is really boring and really simple and doesn't seem like it's that big of a contributor. And people will often say, well, it was the medication that gave me the motivation to do all of that. When in reality, we should just do all of that because that's going to be what just makes us as healthy as possible, regardless of if there's a medication or not. Capiche? Anyways, the reason why people will suddenly make a whole bunch of changes in the situation of where they get a medication such as an SGLT2 inhibitor is likely because of the conversation that actually led to them getting that medication in the first place. You see, they were probably prescribed a medication like this because they had a chat with the doctor, and the doctor said something like, you have diabetes. Now we need to use this medication to control your diabetes. Or you have heart failure and we need this medication to treat your heart failure. Or maybe you have a problem with your kidneys and now you need to go on this medication to manage your kidneys. Humans often need quite a dramatic event to occur or happen before they really start to kind of get the message that they need to make changes in their life and their lifestyle. We essentially need to be challenged with our own mortality and the inevitability that eventually we are going to die. And it is then we get the urgency to start making changes that are going to help us to live a healthier and happier lifestyle, with the drug kind of being there as well. So it's not to say that the drug didn't help to some degree with individuals that lose a lot of weight. but it's likely all of the other massive changes that they're making that are really driving that process. The drug is just the small thing that they told you about, or the small thing that you saw. So that was a bit of a segue there, but hopefully that's kind of given you some insight, and I hope that's kind of helping you to answer the questions, or really kind of look at the questions of, are you going to wait until something big happens and the damage is already done? Or are you going to start making the changes today that are going to help you to avoid those things in the future and maybe not even need the medication to begin with? Just a bit of food for thought. All right, so that is Jardiance and the SGLT2 medications. Overall, I do not use them for weight loss or weight management, and I don't know of any clinicians that currently do. They would be an add-on for given patient populations if they've got other conditions and issues going on. Now, there are some trials and there is some data out there that's looking at the SGLT2s or other medications for the management of our weight and such like that. But generally they're going to be used in conjunction with other molecules and things like that to get the most effective response that we want from the weight management perspective. Otherwise, all on their own, they're not super effective for weight loss, but they are great for other conditions if you need them. So that is it, and that is all, my friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on another video when I put them out. As well, check me out on all my other channels at the official Dr. Dan. As well, check out the OG membership side of my YouTube channel, where you get an exclusive live with myself every single month, where you can bring all your questions, concerns, and what have you, and we can have a real-time discussion, and I can break down what is kind of going on or talk about what it is that you want to talk about. Otherwise, as always, as I sign off, please don't forget that it's going to be those small tweaks that lead to those massive peaks.